Hey, Vavsa here. In this video, I'll teach you how to create a top-down space shooter in Godot. This is the game we are going to be creating. You can see you get enemies, they have random size, get bullets that shoot them and kill the enemies. And we got a way to damage the player. So if that player, touches the enemies 3 times, you can see the health here, the game ends. So let's get started. Let's go ahead and cut this and let's create a new project. Therefore, don't mind my handsome anime guys, real life anime guys in the background. I really like this picture, so I just set it. So let's create a new project and I'm gonna place it somewhere in my projects. And let's just create a new folder, another folder, and let's go. I'm using compatibility because that's the only renderer that works on my computer. You can use the mobile one, that's kind of recommended for 2D one, but compatibility is kind of Godot's most developed rendering engine because it has the most work done on it. Works with OpenGL 3. I have run it using some commands, but it works pretty fine for me. So let's create a new project and let's get started. Okay, here we are. Now real quick, something I need to always do is I search for run, and let's go to editor, run, and main run argument. I am using it with using some shady commands, so I need to use this command here. Don't need to do that if you are not running it using the shady method. And if you get some unexpected behavior on your potato machine, you can comment me. I'll teach you how to set up how this really resolves a lot of issues for me, like shaders don't work, and there are a bunch of errors down here. A lot of these things get fixed for low-end people. So yeah, tell me if you have a potato computer like me. I'll help you fix the issues. So let's go ahead and go to the 2D scene, and let's import our assets. I created some assets in Inkscape, yes, and I'm quite proud of these. Yeah, here are the yours, and these are some SVGs and PNGs. This is the player, really nice, I think. And let's get started with the player scene. Let's go ahead and create a character body 2D, and let's go ahead and rename this to player, and let's control A to add a sprite 2D. Let's just use a standard sprite, not a sprite 2D, and let's just drag and drop our image into this. Go to transforms, and I'm gonna rotate it to 90 degrees so it's facing the left. We'll use that later, we'll need that. So first of all, what we want is we want our player to follow the mouse. This rotation on the on the right side is for that. Let's create a script for our player. Before that, let's go ahead and create a new folder called scripts and save the player.gd here. Let's create it, and we're going to create a variable for speed, type float. I'm gonna make it an export. Okay, now let's just create a function physics process function, and in that we just call look_at, and we're just gonna look at get global mouse position, global, not local, global. And that's it for the rotation code. And let's save the scene in the new folder called CENES. I fully spelled that right, and play.cscn. Let's run the current scene, and you can see it's following the mouse. Maybe not able to see that, but it is working. Let's create a new scene, 2D scene, call it main. Let's save it in the scenes folder, and let's just go ahead and go to the scenes folder and drag and drop the player into this. Now we can just run the game, and you can see the ship is following the mouse. We can add a camera, and let's just set up a zoom on this. It can be anything. I'm just gonna make it 0.4. This will make the camera bigger. 0.4, 0.6, anything like that. So first, let's just go ahead and add a background here so it looks good. I got this space SVG background provided. If you want to use that one, You can use your own assets if you want. Let's go ahead and go to the ordering and set the z index to -1 or lower than that. It will make the space background behind everything. This is the outline that shows the camera. So when you go in points, the lower the zoom is, the bigger the camera gets. So let's make it 0.3. Sure, 0.3 is good, and you can just make it bigger if you want. And yeah, that's gonna be good. That's gonna be definitely good. Okay, so now we can just run this, click this run button and select this main scene as the main scene, because it's the freaking main scene. And now you can't move, but you can rotate, and you got a beautiful background. Now let's start with the movement. Movement is gonna be real simple. We're gonna create a variable called direction. Just gonna call it dir equal to input dot get vector, get underscore vector. Now for vector, we're gonna use the 4 keys, and let's go ahead and set up some input map. Let's do left, right, and down, and shoot. Okay, let's set up some keys for this. Left arrow and A, right arrow and D for up, W for up, and up arrow for W, up, and down for S for down, and down arrow for S. Just use left click for shoot plus space plus control. Okay, now that we got that, let's just type out the things. The sequence gonna be left, right, up, and down. So let's just go left, right. Okay, I should have typed left. Okay, left, right, up, and down. And this will give us either a vector 2 value of either left, right, up, and down. And we're gonna make it we need to normalize it, but we'll just normalize the velocity. So we set the velocity, not vector 2, velocity equal to direction multiplied by speed, the speed variable we created. We'll set the value in the editor. This is movement done. You go to player and set the value. I'm gonna set it to like 300, and let's just run it. And we should not have movement because we haven't called move and slide. This is necessary. This will tell the engine to move and slide. And we got movement. It's slow, so you can just do like 500. Good, 500 good. So yeah, 500 is definitely good. Let's just start with the shooting. Let's create a new scene called another character body 2D. Let's go to 2D, and we're going to use this one. This is the bullet sprite. Make sure you go to transform and set it to 0, so it's like that. No need for rotation or anything. This bullet sprite might look a bit weird. I just got the idea to make it like that. Anything you want. Let's just scale it down. You can hold shift and alt to scale it around the center while maintaining all of the if you only hold alt, it's gonna like scale like this, but if you hold shift and alt, then it's gonna scale without messing up the proportions. And let's just make it somewhere there. So let's save the scene. Let's rename the here to bullet, and let's just save this in the scenes folder as bullet. Now what you want to do is go to the player scene. You wanna go to scenes and drag the bullet scene here, and you want to compare the size here, and we can just change the size accordingly, and just so we know that the size does not look weird in front of the thing. And I think that this is definitely the good size. Now you remember to delete it from the player scene after adding it. We're just using it to compare the sizes. Okay, and now that we got this, let's just go ahead and create a script for the bullet. Now what we're gonna do is gonna create a variable called speed for this one as well. Speed time float, and we can make it an export as well. Let's just make the speed like the play is 500. Let's make it 800.0 to make it a float. Okay, now let's just create a function called physics process function, Now in the function we're just gonna create a variable up here. Let's create a variable variable called direction. The direction is gonna be type of vector 2. Okay, so what we're gonna do is just gonna set the velocity equal to same as we did with the player, direction times speed. Now we're gonna set the direction when we spawn the bullet. So we're not gonna do it right now, but we will do it eventually once we start spawning. We call move it slide, so it does move and slide. And yeah, that's it for now. Let's just go ahead and get to the player scene. We want a place to spawn the bullet. We're gonna add a marker 2D node. Marker 2D is like a node 2D or a node, but it has, you know, these spiky things around it, you know, these things that make it, you know, more visible. I just like a marker 2D, you know, if it's intended for this, so why just use a node 2D? It's a bit visible. Node 2Ds are just invisible, you know, so it's just like that. So let's just put it somewhere where our bullets gonna spawn, and yeah, that's it. Now let's just call it gun. It is kind of the gun, so let's just call it gun. Now what we're gonna do is we wanna spawn the bullets, so we're gonna create a function called shoot function. We're gonna call it shoot, and in the shoot function we will just create a variable. Let's just not create a variable. Let me just teach you a trick. Now mainly when you know, want to create a reference to something in Godot, you like drag and drop this. If you want to make a reference to the gun, you drag it here, it just gives you the path. What you can do is you drag it here and hold the control before leaving, and it's gonna create a reference to it. We got an already reference to the gun. Now similar to that, if you wanna preload a scene, what you can do is you go to a scene, you drag it here, hold control before leaving, and you like that. This is a constant, so let's just make it a variable. You know, I kind of hate constants, they are a bit annoying. So, and at the end let's add dot instantiate, so it's gonna be a new bullet, not the existing bullet scene. It's gonna be like creating a new instance of that. Now we wanna decide a bunch of things for the bullet when it's spawned. You can do anything. Like cool thing is like you can like create variations, so whenever a bullet spawn you can give it different speed or anything like that. We're just gonna move it toward the player. We're gonna give it the direction because it already has the movement code, so let's just want to give it direction. So you can access all of the variables of this bullet. Now you just write bullet, dot, and now any of the variables, this is the direction variable, and we're gonna set it equal to this is some simple math. You're gonna get the position that toward like you want the thing to move, and then minus your current position from it. So direction is gonna be equal to get global mouse position, yes, global mouse position minus, let's just add better spaces. We're gonna minus the gun dot global position from it, so it's gonna be the position it spawns, you know. So now let's just put both of these in a brackets. After adding that, let's just add a dot normalize at the end. Normalized after add, it's gonna like these values gonna be big things. We just want the direction, not the actual values, so we're gonna turn into zeros and minus ones and ones, and we're gonna multiply this, and we're not gonna multiply this actually, just leave it there because we already multiplied it right in there here. So that gives the direction, but we want to set at the position where the bullet spawns, so we're gonna dot bullet dot position. So position, you can set position or you can use the global position, both are the kind of same. It's just, and we're gonna set it equal to a gun dot global position. Now what's gonna happen is whenever you shoot, it's gonna create a new bullet. It's gonna create, you know, it's gonna load in the bullet, and this instantiate tells it that you want to create a new, you know, bullet, and so it's gonna that new bullet will then have this direction and this, you know, position, and at the end we actually add that bullet to the scene, not just create it, and we're just gonna do is we're gonna type $/root/main /dot add underscore child. Sure. No, I really hate using this method because I always forget the actual path to the root. So you can just call add main, because we will have add main in there. So we'll just gonna call add main dot child add child dot add child, and I'm gonna add bullet as the child, this bullet actual. So this is the shoot mechanics. Now we just want to set it up if condition. So whenever we press the shoot button, if input dot is action pressed just pressed, uses one click, if it's clicked, and then lift it off like that. So we're gonna use the shoot action, and we're just gonna shoot. We're gonna call just write this like that, and it's gonna shoot. Now if we run the game, it probably should shoot, and hopefully let's just run it. Okay, so you can see that add main is kind of null. I don't know, I really forget these styles, so I just use get underscore parent. So it's gonna take the parent of the player is the main scene, so it's gonna add as the sibling of the player. You can see now we got shooting. Shooting. If the bullet size is too big for you, you can decrease it. I think it's quite alright. Now we have a lot of work to do. First of all, what we want to do is you want to add a timer. It's going to be the test timer. After the time, I'm going to set it to 8 seconds. So after 8 seconds, it's going to display itself. So go to node, and let's create a script like the bullet script, and let's just go to node and timeout, and connect the timeout function, and in the timeout function just call queue free. It's gonna delete itself once the time runs out. Make sure you set auto start to enable, so it starts when the game starts. So, and yeah, that's quite it for this, deleting itself. And now we got the bullet, we got the player, we need the enemy. Let's create another character body 2D, and let's name it enemy. Now the enemy is just our player, but we got the enemy's SVG right here. I'm gonna drag it here. Now I don't want the enemy to be the same size as the player, so I just want it to be a little bit smaller. So I will just go ahead and adjust the size to be, let's Control Z and let's hold Shift Alt and adjust the size to be, this is gonna be the maximum size. Okay, so this is gonna be the size of the enemy. I'm gonna save the enemy scene in the scenes folder. Let's create a new script. Now first of all, what we're gonna do is gonna create a underscore. Let's go to a function. Let's get a function called underscore ready function. Now in this function, I want to do is I want to create a variable called random underscore scale. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna use this to generate a random value. So we're gonna type randef range. So it's gonna give us a number between the two floats we type, and it's gonna generate it once the game starts, once. So it's gonna be a size. We're gonna give it 0.5 to let's just go ahead and check the enemy size that we have set up. 0.5 to 1. Okay, so it's gonna be the this and between the half the size. This is the size of the sprite, and we're gonna change the size of the player itself, which is 1. So it's gonna change the size of everything that's the child of the enemy, including the collision shape and anything. Now we're gonna get this number as 1.0, and we're gonna set it equal to scale dot x. So since scale is a vector 2, that means it has two values like x scale and y scale, and this is just giving us one value. So we're gonna set it to random scale and scale. This is just for aesthetics and stuff. If you don't want to do this, be sure to, you know, skip this thing. You don't want to do that if you want. So now let's just make the enemy move. I'm gonna create a variable called speed, of course, and let's just make it like float. It's gonna be a float, and let's make it like the play is 500. So let's we can now also randomize the speed. So like let's just also randomize the speed. So speed is like that. Now let's just create it's gonna create a variable called random underscore speed. So and we're gonna set it equal to, let's just call random. Okay, we just set the speed equal to, don't need to create a new variable. Let's just set the speed equal to randef range, and it's gonna be between 350.0 to 500.0 equal to the player. So that's going to be the speed. So every time we create a new enemy, it's going to have, you know, these random numbers generated, and it's going to have its random scale and speed. So that's just for randomness. And let's just now create a function called physics process function, of course, and physics process. So now we create a variable called var target. It's the thing that it will move toward, and target is going to be a type of a character body 2D. So we're gonna move our player toward the target. So we're gonna set the velocity equal to, same as we did before. We're gonna get the position where we want to move, which is gonna be target dot global position, and we're gonna minus global position from it, means our global position of the enemy. So and of course we normalize it by adding a bracket and normalized, and we are gonna multiply this by the speed. So this is gonna move our player toward our, you know, enemy toward our player. We're gonna type move and slide, so it can move. And for the enemy, this is one input that we want to give while spawning, which is telling it the target, and it's gonna set up its speed itself. So let's now set up enemy spawning in the main scene. Our really simple way is to add a path around this, and we're gonna move something along the path, and at a random moment that thing is gonna spawn an enemy at its place. So wherever it is, let's create a path2d node. Godot has a node called path2d, just easily lets you create a path. You can add points like this, and I'm gonna place it. You can place it as far or as near as you want. Won't really affect the game. And like just point right here. I just don't want the player to see where the enemies are spawning, so I am placing a little bit far away. So this is what we have. This is the path. If you zoom in, this is the path. Since our things are really bigger, it looks a bit different. If you wanna edit the path or by rounding the corners or anything like that, you can like hold shift to, you know, round out the path and stuff like a Bezier curve. Don't need that. Now let's add path follow 2D node as a child. In the main scene, let's create a new script, and let's create a new function called, of course, the physics process function. I really like to use this function. Now in the function, we're gonna take the path follow 2D. We're gonna directly reference this dot, and it has a property called, if you go to the path follow 2D node, this progress ratio. So this progress ratio, you can keep adding to it, and it's gonna, you know, keep moving the player. Okay, so you can so what we're gonna do is so we go here and gonna add progress ratio plus equals, we're gonna add 0.001. It's enough speed. It's quite enough speed. You can see it's between 0 and 1, so that's quite it. Okay, now make sure you add loops, so it loops around, keeps doing it, and now it's gonna keep moving. You can add something as a child. I'm gonna add this sprite, and I'm gonna scale it up so you can see the camera. So this is under the path follow 2D node, so it should revolve around when we run the game. So let's run the game, and it's not moving at all because it's not the child of the fast velocity. Let's just run it now, and you can see this is the speed that it's moving, and it's gonna come here and it's gonna like that. You can just increase the speed if you want. For example, let's just make it 0.04. Quite enough, I'm pretty sure. Updates in real time in Godot, so you can see, okay, that's the best speed. So now that we got that done, we're just gonna remove this sprite we added temporarily. So now we're gonna add our enemies this thing. So let's just create the functionality to spawn enemies. So what we can do is we're gonna add a timer, and this timer we can give it a random time. We'll set up a random time for this in code. So let's go to main, and in this just reference the timer and timer dot wait time. This is the property wait time, and I set it equal to a random range of between like 0.9 seconds, a random range of 0.9 to 1.2 seconds, maybe 0.8 as well. So it's gonna spawn an enemy between this time. So it's gonna keep updating the time every frame. We don't want it to update like every frame, so we're gonna cut this code, like keep this code here. We're gonna create a new function like in the timer node. Let's go ahead and create a new timeout function like signal, and in this signal, whenever the time runs out, we're just gonna control X this code from here to here. So whenever the time runs out, and we're gonna just change the wait time, so that will like be a little bit more performant. So whenever the time runs out, while we do change the timer's wait time, we also want to spawn an enemy. For that, we're gonna use the same method as we did. We'll just reference the enemy scene, do the same. We just gonna get the enemy.tscn and hold control before leaving to create a reference. Turn this into a variable .instantiate. Same thing as before. We want to give it the value that is required, which is the target. We're gonna set enemy.target is gonna be equal to, just set it equal to player. Just reference the node, and it's gonna be the player, and that's it for what we want to give the enemy. We just want to now set up the position where it spawns. Enemy.global position equal to path follow to the reference it directly dot global position. Okay, so we got that. Now the enemies should spawn after we add them into the scene. Since this is the main, we just need to write add child, because we don't need to get the parent here, and as add child, and in this we'll just type enemy, and we got the enemy spawning. Now it should spawn the enemy, and let's run the scene, and no enemy spawning. You want to confirm that you set up the auto start here, and let's just run the scene. It should spawn enemies now. I created an enemy, and you can see now they are moving, but they're not facing the player. So let's go ahead and go to the enemy scene, and we just wanna call in the physics process function, just gonna call look at target dot global position. I turn the enemy into an export, so you can set it manually if you add it into the scene. I added this one as manually, and you can then assign the player here. So let's run the scene, and this will look at it, but you can see it's a bit tilted. Why? Because that's why I moved the player to look at left. By default, that's gonna orient it correctly, so you wanna rotate it by 90 degrees. If it's facing up, like it's gonna face right by default. Now let's run the game, and the enemy is now looking at the player. We got random size, random speeds, and they're chasing us like animals. Okay, not that song. Okay, now we just want to add the damaging. Damaging is super simple. Now let's just go ahead and add a collision shape to the enemy. Just gonna add a simple collision polygon, and you can just draw a really good polygon, maybe a little bigger than the sprite itself, no problem whatsoever. Even smaller will work, just really rough. Don't need to add too many points, but since there are not going to be too many enemies, you can add as many as you like. So we got the collision here. Now in the bullet, what we want to do is add an area 2D. This is going to be used to detect like what we are touching, so to detect that we are touching the enemy. So we're going to add a collision shape to it. Collision shape, collision polygon. I'm going to add a collision shape actually, and just make it a circle, maybe a little bigger than the bullet itself. And let's just connect the body entered signal to this. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna check if it's the enemy. How do we check that? A really easy method is to add the enemy into a group, and we then can check if the thing that we are collided with is a part of that group. Groups are really easy. You get to inspector, nodes, and groups. You plus and make it a global and name it enemy or anything you want. It's clicked, checked off. That means it's the part of a group. It's a global group, so it's can be recognized globally, not just in the scene. And then we can just go to bullet here, and here we just can check body, if like the thing that's collided with. If we check if body dot is underscore in underscore group, and this is the function, and we're gonna give the name of the group, which is going to be enemy. Make sure the spelling is correct, and you're gonna add this. So if the thing that collides with us is the part of the enemy group, what we're gonna do is we're gonna make that thing, since we are the bullet right here, we're gonna make that thing body dot q free. So we're gonna what q free is, like if you type q free like deletes the thing. If we type q free like this, that means it's gonna delete ourselves. We want to delete ourselves like the bullet that collides with the enemy, but also we want to delete the thing that we collide with, which is the enemy. So like you can type body dot and we just like q free like that. So we first delete the body, then we delete ourselves, because if we delete ourselves before, then we are not going to be able to execute the code after, so because we are not existing. So make sure the orientation or the lineup is correct. So now if the bullet collides with the enemy, now the enemy has a collision shape, so the bullet can detect that the enemy is entering this area. So the bullet's gonna delete, the enemy is gonna delete. Now we only thing we want to do is we want to damage the player. We're gonna add area to the player as well, and we're gonna need to give it a collision shape. I'm just gonna copy one. You can just copy it from the enemy. Let's just draw a new one, and control A, you can add a collision shape or collision polygon. Let's just add a collision polygon and draw a collision polygon, and you can make it a bit smaller than itself because we want to be a little bit forgiving to the player. That's just kind of a general game development trick. So we're gonna want to become a bit forgiving to the player and less forgiving to the enemy. Okay, this is the collision shape for the player, like the detection area. If the enemy enters this area, the player needs to get damaged. So simply we just use the same logic as before. We just wanna go ahead and go to the inspector signals, and body entered function, we're gonna connect it with the script here. It's right here, and notice what we can do is we can go to the bullet and we can literally just copy the code, and we can just and paste it in here, and this is quite the same. Now you can give your player health or kill them instantly. If you queue free, the player will die, nothing will happen. Player's gonna die instantly. What we want to do is we will delete the enemy if it collides with the player. And we wanna give the player a health. A simple way is just create a variable called hearts, and we're gonna keep equal to 3, since we have 3 hearts, and so we get 3 hearts. So every time we collide with the enemy, we're gonna delete the enemy, and hearts, we're gonna type hearts, and we're gonna -1 from it. Okay, minus equal 1. You can do minus equal 1. Both are the same, so we just like subtract 1 from it. Let's just not add the minus. I really don't know. This is one concept I haven't been able to figure out, like minus equal or minus what? What's the meaning? Like it's just quite the same. So we minus one heart, and in the process function we're gonna keep checking if heart is less than or equal to 0, then we're just gonna let's just make it equal to 0. Just gonna queue free, and you can just quit the game by getting get underscore tree dot quit. So it's gonna make the game shut down. So let's just make it. So if you got enemies, so one enemy is gonna come, it's gonna delete it. So we got one heart, we're gonna 2 hearts, and we're not dying. So we wanna actually use minus equals. I don't know. I hate maths. Like there are so many engines and stuff, I just get confused. So we lose one heart, then we lose second heart, and we lose third heart, and the game ends. And that's it, the game. Okay, and let's just run the game one more time and review it. We got, player movement, we got, we can now shoot it, we got random sized. The bullets are too much, we can add something like limiting, but I think that's it for good. And you can get these assets from the description. These are made by me and our open source. I'll leave the link to the project file, and that will have the assets as well. And yeah, if you like this content and if you have watched till the end, I really appreciate you, and I'll see you in the freaking next one.